Courtney Byrd.
Hello.
Thanks for coming in.
Happy to be here.
So, how did we know each other?
Well, we go back. No, Exponential Fitness Days.
Yeah.
We met. You were the new exciting sales. You messaged me and I was like, not another one. Here we go. But no, came down here excited. We saw you actively, like us Florida owners, actively engaging in what our studios were doing, excited to be a part of what we were building and growing, and not coming in telling us what to do, trying to seek to understand and know the business and offer your help.
So many buzzwords there. I love that. Seek to understand.
Yeah.
Just really highlights my leadership, I think. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
of
But no,
course.
it was like really fun for me to dive in. I mean, when I was first approached about joining the Pure Barre team, I didn't
Yeah.
even know what it was. I'm sure like everyone else.
Yeah.
But then I did the workout. I'm like, dude, this is really good. Obviously,
Yeah.
very female driven. And I
Right.
think at the time, they were trying to get more males involved, which I still think is a phenomenal workout for guys, for anyone.
Yeah.
But then I really noticed like the culture. Like you guys as franchise partners were really bought into like not just the brand, but
Community.
the community,
Mm-hmm.
but also just like the actual workout itself, like the modality, and it meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
So for you, how did you get involved with Pure Barre? Like how did it come across your radar?
Well, I became a Pure Barre instructor. I first took Pure Barre when I was in college. When it opened in my college town, my mom was like, "You want to go with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I fell in love with it, and she was like, "Great. You can pay for your own membership if you want." And I'm in college, I'm poor, and I'm like, "Wait, how do
Yeah.
I keep coming to Pure Barre?" So I would pop in and out as a client, and then when an opening to become an instructor, I was looking in the area when I saw that there was one in Boca. I jumped on it and teaching it, fell in love with it, and being just business minded, I was like, well, maybe I should look into owning one.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Were you still in school when you took over?
No, I was getting my MBA. My first job out of college, I worked for Veda Corporate. I was a salon development partner,
Fun.
which is kind of similar to what you did for Pure Barre, with my salons in the Tampa area. And so I was exposed to the franchise model there, and then I just I saw it on Pure Barre, I was like, wait a second, I kind of like this business model. Let's see what this is like.
So in your first experience with a franchise, like what did you like about it? Like what was attractive to you?
I think I just am business minded in the sense of like, I really like the operations. And I figured that out because my degrees in college and undergrad, I majored in professional sales, marketing, and then minored in hospitality. So it's like a whole bag of things,
Yeah.
right? And then when I was exposed to the franchise model and I was a salon development partner, I was going into these businesses and I was seeing the full operation and everything that went into it every day. And I was starting to realize, I'm good at a lot of different things, but what do I enjoy doing? Like everyone has their strengths, everyone has their weaknesses, but then figuring out, just because I'm good at something, is this really what I want to do? So then when I was getting my MBA, I was getting it in business analytics because I'm a numbers nerd.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I like to apply the numbers to the business operations, kind of make that whole picture come together. So I think that for me, while I was able to take my experience from undergrad, mixed with my short time at Aveda, and then get my MBA while I was figuring out being a new business owner, it really went hand in hand together and helped me kind of unlock a new level of business ownership that I might have not, and then also helped me appreciate my MBA program more so than if I didn't have that real life experience going on.
That makes sense. And so you said so when you became a franchise partner, what was your expectation of like franchisor support? And I guess the real question is like, what would you like franchisor support to look like?
Great question. I think it's a catch-22. Isn't that the saying? Catch-22. Yeah. There's good and bads with everything. Me as a franchisee, I guess, the best way to put this is I knew the second that I signed a franchise agreement, I was signing my life away. Sure. So I think being able to get your hands into your business and then kind of figure out day to day what your what your value add's going to be to your business versus, okay, what can I delegate to people within my business and what can I really lean into the franchisor support?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like Pure Barre's done a really great job of that, where you're not pushing anything down anyone's throats. You're here to support, but also not feeling like as a franchisee, like I don't have somewhere to get the answers to questions I may have. So I think for me, like having resources of knowledge, but when I need it, rather than it feeling like, hey, I'm coming in, I'm getting secret shopped by my franchisor every day. That's not productive. That's you're on the defense instead of like working offensively with your team, I guess is a way to put it.
I love secret shops. Number one, I think those are fun.
Oh gosh.
I think, well, so secret shops one thing, right? We do it for like GM training.
Yeah.
But then I remember when I came here for like, I think I was here for like a week.
Yeah.
I was like kind of up and down
Yeah.
Florida. I kind of had my blinders on because I was like, I'm going to walk into studios. I'm going to see things that I know are not brand guidelines. There's candles that probably shouldn't be here. Some merch that, number one, I think Pure Barre, and I stand by this, was like number one at retail. You guys drove retail. I didn't see any other brand do it. Not that they weren't good at what they were doing. I just feel like there was something about the Pure Barre community where, dude, we were just slaying in retail.
Oh, it was the normal for me I would make so much in retail sales a month that it would cover my rent.
Yeah.
And then everything on top of that was extra.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Sure.
But there was a time where we were the main fitness retailer that people were going to that weren't even our members.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so the other thing I realized was that, and you kind of said this earlier, was I feel like from the franchisor standpoint, like there's just like kind of fine line you have to walk, right? You want to make sure, because I do think a benefit of joining a franchise system as a franchise partner is that there's brand standards.
Right.
So if your neighboring like business owner or neighboring like partner,
right,
franchise partner isn't running something out of the playbook that's a direct like not a benefit to your brand,
right?
Because people speak, right? If you go to one Starbucks, you have a bad experience, you're probably thinking all Starbucks are like that, right? So same thing with Pure Barre, is that you go to one, you kind of want that same result everywhere else. So I do think that it's important that there is some, I think policing is the wrong word, but it's kind of what it is to a degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't want anyone to ruin the brand.
Totally.
And like I said, for me, the one thing I did notice right away was like, it meant a lot to everybody. So it's like, hey, we got to keep this.
Yeah.
But we also have to find, number one, before we go trying to fix anything, I want to hear from you guys and like, what are you guys seeing? What are you guys feeling? What are you guys thinking? Because ultimately, when I learned right away, like franchising is no different than leadership. Even if you don't report to me directly, I feel like I'm a bad leader if I have to tell you what to do. If I have to flex my title on you, I have no influence and I have no relationship with you. And so for me, it's like, well, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What's the result? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to say me as a franchisor, it's in my best interest for you to make as much money as possible because then I make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And so I think oftentimes people forget that at the end of the day, I'm not going to try to ask you to do things that don't make you any money because it doesn't make me any money. Now, I'm not saying that every franchisor operates the same way, but that was kind of my mentality. It was like, why would I ask you to do something that didn't make sense? Yeah,
and I think that, again, is the biggest thing that we, as I say we, as the South Florida owners, really appreciated when you came on. It was the first time in a while that we weren't feeling like the finger was getting wagged at us all the way in California. You were boots on the ground here and truly getting to know our area, seeing our clientele, seeing how each of our individual studios ran, operated, the different but similar needs of all, and helping us standardize across the board down in South Florida, rather than it being like, you don't even know what the inside of my studio looks like, you know? So I think that was really beneficial to have. We got to see your interest in our studios, and also it was relative feedback because you were there. Yeah. Well, I think that's how you get buy-in, number one, right? Like, and it was hard. I don't think Pure Barre was traveling at the time when I first joined, and I was lucky enough to like, hey, like I think we have a business case here to go out there and just, I think it was more of like a relationship building mission at first. Yeah. But it turned out to be a lot of great insights. And to your points, like, well, every market's different to some degree. Once again, you still have to keep some sort of brand standards, but I do think that there's probably some wiggle room. Like what works in one area might not work in another one. Yeah. Marketing specifically, I think, who you're targeting changes, like demographics in every city are different, right? Some people skew, we'll call it older, right? And then some younger. So I think your marketing has to fit that. Oftentimes, and this is not Expo related, just any brand that I've seen,
they get so focused on just the one demographic. It's like it's not going to help everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's where franchise partners get kind of frustrated. It's like, well, that's not going to work in my market.
Right. And I think too, like too much of like, even if you're using like photos from another studio and then people come in and they're like, oh, this isn't what your studio looks like or something like that on too much of a brand, like an overall brand thing, or like, oh, why are we, doing a marketing campaign like in a different climate than like Florida, like no one wants to see you working out in a parka in the snow and then you're coming into a studio in Boca. Like that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I do feel like the brand has done a good job at giving us we've been able to be independent in that way, but still following brand guidelines and standards. Yeah. So that way it is relative and nothing's getting pushed to where it looks like it just doesn't make sense for our clients to attract our clients. So,
well, I'm a big believer in local marketing. Totally. I understand like national recognition is important. I think that's what the franchisor's job is. But I still think that there's a duty to the franchise partners to get local content.
Yeah.
Right. Because to your point, it's like if I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, that's a whole different background than what we're seeing here in Boca.
Right.
And so that's not going to land.
Right.
But and I thought you did a good job of this, and there's plenty of other, I think Keisha does a really good job of this, is like she makes content that fits her market.
Right.
And then she's done really, really well. And so have you. It's because you know that. But sometimes there's franchise partners that just, well, corporate will provide me this. It's like they're going to give you what they can. We're not everywhere, so we can't get something that fits Florida or fits like, Texas and all that kind of stuff. So I think local marketing is important.
It looks more organic too. Yeah. Like people want to see, they don't want to go and see, oh, this just looks corporate and plastered. Like where is the studio's personality? And I think that's one of the things I love about being a franchise is people know what to expect when they walk into a Pure Barre studio, no matter where in the country they're going. But when they walk in, they're also feeling our individual feel, community, and culture that is within the same bounds of all the other studios that we are a part of, but it's unique to where our location and where we are. And I think that's so special. And me as an owner, I try to go to every studio I can if I'm traveling. Like I try to go take a class because it's so fun to see you feel a piece of home, but then getting to experience someone else's home too.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah, I think when you go to someone else's studio, that's always interesting to see.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh, what are they doing that I'm not? Or like maybe I'm doing a little bit better than they are.
Yeah. It's funny because I was in Chicago a couple weeks ago for a wedding, and I went to one of the Chicago studios, and I like to go in and take class incognito. I don't say I'm a teacher. I don't say I'm an owner because it's like freedom. I get to not be looked at while I'm working out, like expectations. And I also don't want the instructor to feel like they should be nervous because an owner's in their class. Because trust me, I'm in my own world when I'm taking. I'm like
not trying to work.
Yeah. And during class, the instructor came up to me and she was like, "Are you a Pure Barre instructor?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I went up to her after and she's like, "You should have told me." And I was like, "Well, I'm actually an owner." And she was like, "I'm an owner. I'm the owner too." And we got to talking, and one of my members in my Louisville location had just moved like 2 months prior to Louisville from her studio. Wow. So we shared a member and we got to talk about her. And I know it's such a small world, but a great community, and it's really great. I don't know, it's awesome to meet just other owners and get to share and talk about clients that you ironically have in common.
That's another thing I think is really important is like when you get into a franchise system, like, you have the training structure support of the franchisor, but you also have your built-in community with other franchise partners.
Yep.
Right? Because you have someone else going through it. Because when you're in your own four walls, you're the leader. You can't always share what's going on with your team because then they feel that, right?
Yeah.
So you can share that with other leaders going through the exact same thing from a different perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, hey, like, I saw this is coming down the pipeline, or I know corporate ran this offer. Did anyone see like good, bad, like results? Like, what is your feedback? And just kind of be able to talk about that, or like, just anything like when you go from adding new formats in and additional equipment, any kinks, like it's been really great to have like that owners community, not only regionally, but on a national standpoint too.
For sure.
Yeah.
When you were like going through your due diligence process of becoming an owner, basically an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Is there anything that kind of like surprised you about being an entrepreneur? Or has it gone exactly as you expected?
I think you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
So I think I kind of went in with rose-colored glasses on and I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. Outside of, being a non-owner telling other franchisors, how they should make money. I'm like, why would
Sure.
they take my advice? I've
Yeah.
never done this, you
Yeah.
know, and if they are taking my advice and they're making money off of it, then maybe I should do it and just try. And so you
Sure.
kind of go in with no expectation, just kind of following your gut instinct and like, looking at your dollars and making sure they make sense. I really got thrown for a loop because I first purchased Boca and our closing date was officially November 1st, 2019.
Mhm.
Business was booming for
Sure.
the first 4 months. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I am rolling in the dough. Like this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit and you're like, oh, okay. You're looking to the adults, even though you're the adult and you're
Right.
like, what do I do?
Yeah.
The adults don't know what to do. So you're like, okay, so let's figure this out. And so I think that also really shaped me as an owner. Cause you had to get creative because no one knew what to do. And you just had to kind of put your blinders on and figure it out and, get through every day. And so I think I think that's kind of, there was no really expectation at that point. It was just make sure you can keep the doors open.
I think we talked about a couple of things there. Number one, adversity. I think you have to go through adversity to find out who you are, and there's growth that's required. And then I think being resourceful.
Yeah.
Same thing like that. I mean, the pandemic was new for everybody.
Yeah.
No one knew how to navigate it. So
Oh my
everyone's
gosh.
scrambling. I actually, from a corporate standpoint, like the higher I went, the more I realized like, dude, everyone's just trying to figure it out because
Yeah.
things are always changing. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because you need people just figuring it out.
Yep.
I try to share with franchise partners is like, hey, my job is to make sure that you can just put your head down, go run the business, and I'm supposed to be on the lookout to see what's coming, what's going on, and trying to do all these different things for you. So that's why I do see it as a partnership. And I always try to, and I picked this up from Andrew, where he always made it a point to call franchise partners, not franchisee. I don't like the word franchisees.
Yeah.
Like it's weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound cool.
Franchisees.
So I say partners because it is a two-way street. It is a partnership because once again, I'm only successful if you're successful.
Right.
Thinking through the pandemic, what do you feel like you learned the most about yourself as you were navigating that whole landscape?
Well, I think I learned that I do well in a crisis. I didn't let myself, whether I was acknowledging it at the time or not, I didn't really let myself process truly the how extreme everything was that was going on. Granted, I was in Florida, and I was in Palm Beach County in Florida. So there's a difference, friends down the road in Broward County and Dade. I was able to open my doors, I want to say maybe a week shy of 2 months, less of 2 months. Yeah. So, but that's not when it got hard because you didn't know when you could reopen, but it got even harder when you were open and you had limited capacity.
Right.
And all of your margins, all of your expenses stayed the same, but your your margins were kind of shrinking because people were canceling. They were afraid to come and work out. And you also, the capacity of that you could have in the studio at one given time was 1/3 of what it used to be able to be. So I think that's just, I think as an owner, I've just had to pivot. Found out about myself. I was able to pivot, and that made me feel good.
Yeah.
You never know how you're going to act in a crisis until you're put in a crisis. So,
100%.
yeah. I think I also got a lot of respect. It kind of quickened the pace of me gaining respect of my clients and my team because I was so young. I mean, I was 24 when I bought the studio. So I think, and I was, I have a Southern accent, and they're like, who is this Southern little girl coming in to own this studio? And you got big personalities down here. So I think they realized she's got a good head on her shoulders. And my main goal was just to make sure we could reopen the doors and keep them open once we reopened them.
No, 100%. I mean, it's to your point, everyone's such in a different situation, so you can't necessarily lean on one person.
Oh, no,
because they're navigating a completely different landscape.
Oh, yeah.
Based off the county, so that was for sure definitely interesting.
Oh, yeah. We because in our county, they treat it like a restaurant. Once you were in the studio and you were in your spot, you could take your mask off. Mm-hmm. But in Broward, you had to wear your mask the entire time you were working out. Mm-hmm. So it's, as owners, how are we all navigating that? How can we make sure and support our other franchise partners? And, people were buying those plastic things that were coming up.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Really crazy.
Yeah, but you get creative. You do what you got to do.
Well, fast forward to now, what's your favorite part about business ownership? Is there marketing? Is it sales? Is it operations? Is it leadership? What do you like the most?
I think that I know this sounds biased, but I'm just really, as a business owner, I'm really happy with the brand that I've invested in my life in. I mean, truly my career. I think Pure Barre's done a really great job of evolving. I mean, we're celebrating, 25 years this year, evolving as a brand, but staying true to who we are as a brand. And just as a business owner, you want nothing more than that, of something that is proven to be sustainable and a community of people that keep coming back. And even if you take a break and you go elsewhere, no one really shakes Pure Barre.
Sure.
And I think that as a business owner, that's what I've been the most happy to be a part of, a community and a culture like that, within my own studios, but also within the brand as a whole. So,
well, there's not a lot of bar brands, and there's like mom and pop shops, maybe in a couple other ones, but I don't think they're like major competitors to Pure Barre.
Yeah, I think unfortunately COVID took some of them out. Yeah.
So and we were talking about this before we started rolling. I was saying I feel like there's like so many Pilates locations now popping up left and right. Yeah. And I know there's different formats of Pilates, right? So everyone has their perspective.
Pilates is the new buzzword.
Yeah.
Anyone's
100%.
Pilates. Anyone is a Pilates studios now.
Well,
What,
for those that don't know, what makes Barre different?
Oh goodness. Well, they're very similar, but very different at the same time. So Pilates, you can have mat Pilates, you can have a reformer Pilates. I am not Pilates certified. I have a Legree certification, which is a form of Pilates, under that whole umbrella, but very different. Yeah. But I can just speak to Barre where, it was derived from ballerina. And you're just, especially at Pure Barre, small intentional movements, making big changes. We are really focused on high intensity, low impact for long-term joint health. And we at Pure Barre especially have certain certifications that you as a Pure Barre instructor have to go through, and training and anatomy knowledge. We have I can never pronounce this word.
Kinesiology?
Yes, thank you. On our corporate team, that they come up with our choreo and make sure that everything is keeping our clients safe, but their workouts effective. And I know Pilates and their branch, they have that as well, which is great. So for me, it's just, I think that, I don't know. I know what I know, and I know Barre. I could be describing mat Pilates too. I don't know. I don't have that certification. I think that, I don't know. I just love Barre. I love Pure Barre. I know that's probably a bad answer, but
no, I think it's a great answer. I think for me, small intentional movements, that was big. I think when I started doing it, it's like I'm feeling muscles I didn't know I had.
Right.
Because you're just activating everything. It's And the biggest thing was like learning your body, right? Like understanding how your body moves and how to control that. Because, that's why I think it's good for men, because we just go in the weight room, start lifting weights for a long time.
Right.
You're growing up when you're playing sports. You don't know what you don't know. You're just lift heavier.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these injuries start to add up. It's like you were never actually connected with your body.
Right.
And then
you're not stretching the other muscles that are supporting those big muscles that are helping drive those big ranges 100%. Of motion and that heavy weight. Yeah.
What do you think? And I think there's not one right answer, but from your perspective, what do you think makes a good Pure Barre instructor or Barre instructor?
Well, every form of Barre is different, so I'll speak to Pure Barre.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, because we are a music-driven workout, is just having fun with it when you're on the mic and owning the room. Not over talking on the mic, but talking enough so it's not awkward. Right. Really giving hands-on correction so your clients are, even if they're doing it right, touching them and helping challenge them, or let them know that what they're doing, keep it up and keep going. And just really just encouraging through your verbal cues and, I don't know, just being in tune and in touch with your clients in that room during that 50 minutes.
Is it true that there's like special Pure Barre language?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like a cult. Oh, yeah. We, anytime someone comes to take a class for the first time, we always say, come 15 to 20 minutes early so we can walk you through. The instructor can meet with them, find out if there's any injuries that they should know about for class, but also kind of teach the lingo. And no matter how much you brief them before class, once class gets started and you're saying the lingo and the music's going and you're like, what's happening? It's the first time. It's like any new format. People are like, whoa, this is new. But then once you catch on and you understand the method behind the words and the lingo, it does make sense. You're like, oh, okay, I can say I know the lingo now. I'm going to talk that too, and I can walk the talk and talk the walk. So,
do you think that's what keeps members coming back when they start feeling like they're part of that community and like they have that special connection with, oh, this is how we do it here?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, it's just like, you know, a yoga studio and stuff. It's a practice. And I think with Pure Barre, it's really great because it's, I mean, depending on the day, it's very humbling. Like you could, I've done it for over 10 years, and it's like, yeah, you know, oh my gosh, you know, you're getting an effective workout, but you can see that progress. You can feel that progress, and to be able to go out of class and be like, woof, that thigh section, that was hard today. I mean, it bonds people, and being able to really see the results, feel the results, and be around like-minded people that like that too. It's really nice.
Yeah, community is important. I think you want to go through it with somebody because working out's hard.
Yeah.
Everyone knows they should do it, but it doesn't mean they go do it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people love just fitness classes in general because of the community nature of it.
Totally. And I mean, one of the biggest fears of people is the gym fear, walking in and not feeling like anyone. People are like, oh, I need to go get in shape before I come take a Pure Barre class. I'm like, no,
I heard that
please.
so many times.
Yeah. And I'm like, please don't. Please come in. Like, that's the great thing about Pure Barre is you can modify for any need that you're needing in your workout, but also any fitness level that you're at. And I think too, it's just, Michelle recently said, actually, because we brought back reform, that studies show, and not only just in the fitness industry, I think this applies to any feeling in general, is people don't want to look or feel different than someone in the room with them, right? And so that's what the good thing is, and somehow our certain formats in class do better than others, because in Define, for example, which is our more weight-driven class, is you still are doing the same thing that the person next to you is doing, whether your weight is heavy or not. You can't tell that there's a difference. Like you don't stand out and look different. And I think Pure Barre's done a really good job in all of our formats and especially as we've evolved with the lower lights and the colored lights and just like really making that room and the atmosphere kind of like focus on yourself and what you're doing, your mind-body connection. It helps people not feel like kind of let their guard down and not feel like worried about people seeing them doing something different or modifying when they're not modifying, because that gets people not wanting to come back. So I think that's special.
I think you're spot on. I think once again, it's inclusion.
Yep.
You're making people feel like they're still doing the workout, just at a different pace, different level, which is important.
Yeah.
I think no matter what you do, it's always hard to be new at something because you just want to be good. You want to feel like I'm doing what everyone else is doing.
Yep.
And like I said, I think starting like your fitness journey, that can be intimidating for a lot of people because no one's usually at where they want to be at. Right. Life happens. Do you have a favorite format?
I love reform.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
So you're stoked that it's back?
I am
Or
so
did it
stoked.
ever go away for you?
It did. It went away. I followed the rules.
Okay.
Anyone at Expo listening? I'm like, I followed the rules. I promise. I did bring it back sooner than I was supposed to, though. It's actually funny. The day that we announced to my Louisville studio that we were bringing it back, that day on the franchise partner call, they were like, we're bringing it back. So,
that's funny.
Yeah. So that was great. Yeah, I love reform, and I think it was ahead of its time. Reform is like our floor Pilates reform, and we use resistance tubing and stuff. Did you ever take reform?
Yeah,
I love it.
It's hard.
It's hard, but it's a building block on classic, which I love, and it's a great way. I think people in general, kind of going back to the Pilates question, people in general are a lot more familiar with Pilates than they were when we originally launched reform.
Yeah.
And so I think that back then there wasn't, when we were like, oh, it's like reformer, like Pilates, people were like, we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, well, now my relative point doesn't make sense. So now a lot more people are more familiar, and me getting Legree trained, I think it has also made me I don't teach Legree actively. I got trained, I taught like for 2 months, but because my friends opened a studio, so it's just something fun to do. But I think it also made me a better instructor because now I know and understand the machine more and how I translate that into the studio with the sliders and our resistance tubes. So I love it.
So you started off with one location here in Boca.
Yep.
Now you have 2.
I do.
How's that going? How's it different than just owning one?
Living the dream.
Yeah.
You know? I'm bopping back and forth between the 2 of them. I was before I bought the Louisville studio, I'd moved up to Louisville for my corporate big girl job. So I still had the studio here. My position was hybrid, so I was able to bop back and forth, and I was not made for a cubicle. I'll tell you. Yeah, I was not made for a cubicle. So when the owner of the Louisville location approached me about buying, I was like, absolutely. Let's talk numbers, whatever I've got to do. And so now I just do both full time, and it's really fun.
When I think most entrepreneurs, especially when you're looking at a franchise, people go in with the intention of, I want to scale, I want multiple locations.
Right. That's where you make the money.
Well, 100%. What do you feel people need to consider before jumping in, right? Because I think sometimes you forget that oftentimes you have to be an owner operator if you're looking for more margin up front, if you're trying to replace your income. If you have cash and you can sit on it for a little bit, then it's a lot easier because you can hire staff, right?
Right.
You had a GM when you first bought the studio, or you?
Yes. Well, do you mean in Boca or
in Boca? When you first started, you were owner operator.
I had a GM that I had acquired, and whenever I first bought, I kept everything the same because everyone was nervous. They were like, you don't want to rock the boat or like make waves when everyone's already like, what changes is she gonna do?
Sure.
And then when COVID happened, I furloughed my GM and I became owner operator, which I loved my GM. She was great. She's still a client. So it was nothing personal, but for me as a business owner, that did give me some freedom to get to understand my margins better and what pay structure would work best in that way. So yeah, I did at first have a GM.
I think it's super important. I tell this to candidates or people looking into franchise, is that you got to understand the business before you can go. You can have a gym in place, but if you're not in it day to day, like, what do you know what you're looking for?
Right.
And then you try to scale, all of a sudden you don't know what's going on.
Yep.
So that's where I think people start to really struggle when they scale too quickly. Yep. They don't even have a fundamental understanding of like the business.
Right. And I think too, especially in the fitness industry, especially in boutique fitness, it's so... They're not just Pure Barre, and a lot of boutique fitness, it's very community driven, and every studio has its own personality. So going in and just like acquiring up 3 or 4 studios and never really having the capacity to get to know those individually, or while at the same time you're trying to understand the business model now as an owner, you can understand only to an extent on paper. And then when you really get in there and get under the hood day to day, like, that's when you figure it out. And so I agree completely. I think the way to scale the most effectively long term is one, and then understand the business model and then grow from there. Yeah.
What do you feel like is the hardest part of the business?
I think sometimes not letting people, you're in the customer service industry, and so it's no matter what, hospitality's hard. And so I think not letting people are going to be negative sometimes, and not letting that get to you. I've realized as a business owner, I'm an empath. That's one thing I've really found out about myself is I'm an empath. Because it is hard when someone is sitting there saying something so mean or even like trashing you in your reviews online. When you're like, I did not do anything like that, or I've done nothing wrong here, really seeing entitlement and humanity is kind of hard. I think that's the hardest part, and being able to let it pass you like the wind. That's been hard for me.
Well, yeah, I think number one, I think people can be bullies online.
Oh my
gosh. I think feedback's important. I do think the people that are going to complain online are going to complain online. Yeah. And sometimes it's over the top, but I do think there's some feedback usually, but it's hard to receive. Because you're trying to do your best. You want to provide value, a service, whatever you're offering. And
it's your livelihood, too.
Yeah, it's your livelihood.
Yeah. And you're like...
It doesn't feel good.
No.
Do you think it's harder to see feedback when it's about you or about your team?
I was literally just thinking that in my head. It's even harder to see it when it's about your team, because they didn't sign up for that.
Sure.
And I'm so protective over my team. Like, I'm mama bear. Like, and I'm the one that's supposed to be falling on the sword. And I chose the exposure to have a business, and to, people are just coming in trying to teach Pure Barre because they love Pure Barre and they love making people feel good. And for them to be collateral damage of someone being nasty, that's going to be nasty anyways. It's just so unfair. And I can say whatever, I can say everything in the world, but it doesn't make anyone feel better seeing someone trash their name, and that's hard. but people also unfortunately know how people can be. And so my team's done a really good job at adjusting. Again, I hate to keep bringing it back to it, but COVID, you saw a totally different side of people, and you could understand and empathize with that at the time. So I think the further we get away from that, when there is negativity, it's harder to digest because you're like, well, what's the excuse now?
Yeah.
And sometimes being a punching bag it's not for everyone. And when you see your team go through it, it's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And like, so on that, I think number one, I think what's good with fitness is that everyone could be having any type of day. You don't know, right?
Right.
It's usually a bad day if you're going out and complaining. When you take the time to go online, in my mind, it's like, dude, you have to have a really bad day.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not going back to that business, right?
Yeah.
That's me. But with fitness, it's cheesy, but you can literally change someone's life. And so even if you're having a bad day in the studio, your job is to overcome that so that when someone's coming through those doors, they could be having a bad day, but through a good workout, everything changes.
Endorphins make people happy.
Yeah.
No, and I agree. And that's my biggest thing that I like preach to my team is this should be the best 60 minutes of their day. 5 minutes before class, 50 minutes in class, 5 minutes after. It's Pure Barre. It's not brain cancer. It's not brain surgery. It's supposed to make people happy and feel good, and that's our job, is to make people happy and feel good. Now, in the same breath, as a leader, it's hard for me because, it's hard to preach, and I understand this, and I've taken this on as a business owner, is customers always right, and at some time you've got to like swallow it sometimes, and it's not everyone's going to come in and be the nicest, but as an owner and a leader, where's that boundary where you don't want your team to feel like you're not supporting them or standing up for them? And so that's hard because we are in the hospitality industry.
Sure.
So we are, but if someone's having a bad day, it's our job to help make that day better or not add to it in a negative way. So like, what hills are we dying on here? So yeah, I don't know. It's hard. That can be a hard space to navigate, but I think my team's done a really good job in being able to differentiate the two. And again, we've got such a great community that a lot of those people weed themselves out anyways if they're going to just come in negative every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every client's a good client. Like I really believe that. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, quote unquote, firing clients the right route to go.
I've only had to fire one client
really?
ever. It was horrible. Yeah.
It's not a good feeling because you don't want to have to do it. It's not like just because it's not, you're getting them out of your location doesn't mean it's a good feeling.
No.
But I agree with you too. I think you do a good job of leadership. I think your team feels it. I think anytime I've ever called the studio, like they have nothing but great things to say about you.
Okay.
I haven't called a long time, so I don't know anymore.
I always get nervous whenever I'm at the studio in the middle of the day and I hear the phone ring and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to answer it. In the back of my head, I'm like, someone's at a GM training right now using this as an example as to what you never want to happen in the off hours. Someone should always answer the phone. And I'm like,
for the record, I have never secret shopped another Pure Barre during GM training. I feel like you don't put anyone on blast like that. I would always call other brands.
Yeah.
But I think it's important so that way people see what it looks like and what you're trying not to do. Because I think it's hard to remember that when you're an employee or a business owner of your brand, you forget that you're going to show to a certain type of way to people looking in, right? And so it's always like for me, it's always important to put yourself in the customer's shoes as often as you can and remember, like, oh, dude, this is the way people are viewing us.
Yep.
And sometimes 100%. Employees don't see that or hear that because sometimes it's a job to them because a lot of the folks that you deal with would be like entry-level employees, so maybe first-time job or it's a part-time job, and not that they don't care, but they're not as invested as you are.
Right.
And so I think,
and I can't expect them to be.
No, you can. I 100% agree with you. You can't expect them to be, but for me, I thought the easiest way to do was just to show them, like, hey, here's what it shouldn't sound like. So do you want to be that person? Like, right. And no one wants to be that person.
No, never. No.
So I think too, what you said is like, so as important as it is to be kind of the person to make the customer happy, I also feel like as a leader, your job is to also protect your team. Yeah. How can you make sure that if they're having a bad day, how do you help them navigate it? Right. But for you, because you don't have anyone else at your level in the studio, who do you go to for support? Who do you go to for help? Do you have mentorship, or how do you look for leadership?
My stepdad has listened to a lot of hours and minutes and days long of me complaining and sometimes beating a dead horse, but I'm a verbal processor. So especially in the early days, I would have to verbally process a lot of things. And again, found out I was an empath through this business. But I've also realized about myself, it's weird because I am a verbal processor in every aspect of my life, but I've tried to stop being one in business because I can see myself getting hung up on things that shouldn't matter. And so I've kind of stopped. I don't really vent about things. Like, obviously, like, my boyfriend Jackson hears a lot of like if I come home frustrated or
Sure.
something, or if I'm like in my head on something, I'm like snippy. But I know that I can't, I'll hyperfixate on it if I talk about it too long. So you just kind of have to move on and pivot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a mentor, I guess. And I know that sounds, and I'm not trying to say that in a way of like, I don't need a mentor, but I think it can feel lonely in ownerland, but I think that sometimes that's the best way. So you don't get hyper fixated on things that aren't going to, that energy could be spent on making you money and making it something better come out of that, rather than, I see a lot of franchisees get really hung up on things that it's just like, I don't have the time and energy,
Right.
So
Well, you just learn how to process it.
yeah, I had to
It's
shift my processing
it's perspective.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be in that moment. And then, so for you early though, you were just saying I had this, and I'm like this at times. I just have to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And as I'm saying it, it sounds good in your brain, but there's so many thoughts going in your brain. But as you start to articulate it, you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so,
And then you're trying to figure it out more, and then you
Yeah.
keep going and keep going and keep going, and it's just not healthy.
I don't think it's wrong to have a sounding board though. If you have someone in
Yeah.
your life, sounds like you do, that is just going to hear you out. And I think for
Right.
me, I have friends like that, and I just like, hey, I just need 2 minutes, and I need you to tell me, just figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. I just need 2 minutes to say it out loud, get out of my system, but then you can move on. Because to your point, you start to realize it's like, well, that's not going to change anything.
Right.
Right. And then you go into victim mentality versus how do I go solve this?
Yeah.
That's what I think in business ownership, you get it's forced growth no matter what. You get to really find out who you are, how you handle adversity.
Totally.
But then you also now have the opportunity to go address that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's also like, you can't have a bad day even if your team is. So it's like, well, protect yourself too, and like, how do you protect yourself to where you don't let it all fester underneath, but
Yeah.
you also don't want to over obsess over it. So yeah, it's a good balance, I guess.
I think too, when you're in a leadership position, you're kind of forced to grow because your team sees that.
Yep.
Right. And so you
Mhm.
don't get the opportunity to be like, oh, I'm going to go backwards. Like, well, the team sees that, then the whole thing's going down. Right.
Yep. And the second that I don't know, I just think the second that you give it light and attention, then it actually gets the attention.
Sure.
Like, you don't want to water the weeds here
Yeah,
to keep
no,
them growing.
100%. That's the enemy in our head. That's not,
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I think it's okay to feel it,
Yeah.
but it's not okay to live in it.
Well, and I think on the kind of the flip side of it is setting boundaries with, you want to be a sounding board for your team, but then at what point is it unhealthy for you? Like, how do you as a leader be like, hey, I don't want to take away your voice. I don't want to take away that, like, you confiding in me of this frustration. But it's also becoming unhealthy for me.
Sure.
For us to continue to obsess over it. Like, so what, now what? Like, how do we move forward and move past this and focus on exciting things coming in our studio and what we're doing and moving past that. So I think
1,000%
that's
agree. And that's the hard part about leadership, is that you can't always be the sounding board, that you have to have this line in the sand. It's like, hey, I want to be here for you, but I also want to encourage you to navigate your own life.
Right.
And at the end of the day, if it's like, intruding on the business, it's like, hey, this might not be the right fit for you right now. Maybe other things going on. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because your job is to have tough conversations.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes too, you can see that leaking into the culture of the studio.
Oh yeah.
And
it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. Even if it's not on purpose and that person doesn't have like malintent, it's bad for the culture.
Totally. You got to leave it at the door.
Yeah. So what you don't like? Do you focus on any type of like growth, development? Do you like are there any books on your radar right now? Any podcasts that you like to watch?
The growth, like personal growth, or
personal
business
growth or business growth. Go with business.
I love listening to How I Built This, that podcast with Guy, and I think it's Guy Raz. I forget what his name is, but How I Built This. I love that podcast. I just listened to the episode of Beyond Yoga, which was interesting because they talked about their transition during COVID and all of that with their business model. Yeah. And I was like living it as they were one of my vendors at the time. And I was living and witnessing that transition. So I love listening to that and just hearing that. It's like Shark Tank, but a podcast. Yeah. So yeah, I like that. One of my favorite books still to this day is the franchise book that you guys like recommended for us all to read. I think there was like an incentive to read it.
The Wealthy Franchisee?
Yeah. About like I think the guy owned like Edible Arrangements or something.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good nuggets in that.
Yeah.
So that was good. Whenever I was at Aveda, the head of HR, she gave me Tough Conversations, that book. I think that's what it's called. And I
Crucial
actually,
Conversations. I think it's Crucial Conversations.
Maybe. Yeah. It's like black and orange on the cover. But I recently gave that to one of my friends that recently opened a fitness studio because she was asking me advice on Tough Conversations. Because that's my thing, is my team knows this about me, is I over communicate and I communicate often, and I'm like, I don't function well if I have to guess what you're feeling or thinking.
Sure.
Like, I can't make something right if I don't know.
You're not a mind reader.
Exactly. And so I've always been very communicative, and my mom even said, ever since you were little, your preschool teacher said you're great at communicating. Like, just another way to say I talk a lot.
Yeah,
but
that's true. That's fair.
I don't realize that doesn't come as easily for some people. So I've had friends ask me for help on that. But yeah, so that's a book I recommend.
Nice. What are you seeing? Like, there's all this talk about like AI, right? Do you feel like there's any impact to your business or how it can help your business?
That ChatGPT is someone that I vent to.
Yeah. I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah, I think that's been a great, actually, you want to say a mentor, ChatGPT?
That's funny.
No, like sometimes I can say what I'm really feeling and say, make my email sound like a little less, like take my emotion out of it.
Sure.
Because I'm really good at writing an email, but it's nice to sometimes vent it out and say what you really want to say to chat and then them clean it up. Always my words, just nicer, you know. But no, I think that AI is, I don't really know how it's going to affect Pure Barre, especially. I think it'll be interesting to see how, like when new prospects and leads come in, if people want to switch to that type of thing. But I love a phone call. Like, you know, I think that it's people, I hate when people call me, but I love calling people and talking to them before they come in. So I think that that's something AI can't really replace, and AI can tee it up as much as they can by getting the gone notes and all of that before a client comes in. But it's really the experience, the human to human, that people feel when they come into the studio. So I don't really know. Do you know something about it in the fitness industry?
I mean, I see it in just in any industry. I feel like, well, number one, you're not wrong. You can't ever replace the human experience. I think in fitness, that's so important because we said earlier, it's community.
Yep.
So you need someone there. I think the benefit of it is kind of like on the front end. Like, how do you make sure that there's like the lead nurturing, you're sending out the right emails. I do think it could get really good at helping create more targeted content. Yeah. Targeted marketing. I think, honestly, from what I've seen, the department that's going to be the most impacted and I think benefit the most is marketing right now. And that's from like not just like a design standpoint. You still need a human to look at it because it puts out some janky shit. Like it's like, oh, this isn't. I wouldn't put that on there, but it's a good start. Yeah. If you teach it and train it, then you can start replicating it. I do think, though, it's helpful for brainstorming. I can tell when someone's using GPT. Like, I use it a lot, but I put my voice in it first, and then I fix it again. So I just want 80% there. I want it to like almost as like a thought partner, not do it for me.
Totally, I'm the same way.
So because I hate when I see it like the hyphens, it's not this, it's
you
that.
You want to know
like,
something that's my biggest gripe with ChatGPT is I used to use hyphens and now I can't.
I've never seen anyone use a hyphen.
Oh, that was my thing. Instead of the ... I would do hyphens. I do the shorter hyphen, not the long one that ChatGPT does. But I'm like, you ruined it for me. Now I can't because people think it's you, chat, and not me. It's me.
Well, that's funny. I've never seen anyone use hyphens, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're the only one.
Yeah, so I didn't look like I had like a long run-on sentence.
That's so funny. I'm similar to you. I'm a phone call guy. I'm a voice note guy, so I'm not good at texting. It takes too long.
Yeah.
I miss BlackBerries. I prefer like the actual physical keyboard. But circling back on AI, I also think that there's like some backend stuff you can do, like SEO, like help with like just generation of content. And like I said, you still need humans to oversee it, but I think it makes everyone more efficient.
Totally.
I don't think it's ever going to replace all, and I could be wrong. But I think it makes great people even better. I think if you're not really good at what you do, you should be concerned. But like you should be concerned regardless because you can easily be replaced by another human.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I've heard some of the voice calls, like the voice bots. Like I hate when there's an automated voice message, press 1, press 2. I hate that. So I can't buy into it yet, but it'll get better. Like this is the worst it'll be.
Yeah.
But
we had a preferred vendor
Mm-hmm.
that for hiring. And I'd never used a hiring tool before. And I used it for like a month, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I didn't know until after like the first candidate came through that it was going to be an AI pre-screening
I remember
interview.
that, yeah.
And I was like, thank you for even making it to this point, because if I was you, I would have been
Would've
like,
stopped.
I don't want to work here, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I did not like that. I listened back to the interviews and I was like, oh, this is so cringy. I don't know
Mhm.
why they didn't hang up. So yeah, I'm not for that. I don't like the calls
No,
either.
I think, yeah, the calls are weird. I do think, like I said, maybe like automated text messaging, emails, stuff like
Yeah.
that, alerts, notifications. Hey, remember to call this lead.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I saw, and this isn't just like a Pure Barre thing. This is like in every brand thing in every industry, is that no one picks up the phone to follow up. Like no one follows up with leads.
Yeah.
And that's like that's where the dollars are made. That's where people want to, because like they raise their hand, but they're not ready right now.
Yeah.
And so you got to stay top of mind. But people have this fear of like picking up the phone
Hmm.
and calling somebody, and maybe they don't answer. But
I have a fear of picking up the phone
do
when
you
someone
really? Because
calls
it sounds
me.
like it. But so how does that work? So you like calling, but you don't like being called.
I tell my team this all the time. I am the worst Pure Barre client, and I always think of the business as the worst Pure Barre client
Really?
in every aspect of the business. If from like my sales team perspective, like, so I think that also gives some good leverage, like of how I think of it in my shoes of like, okay, how would I react if someone was trying to sell me this way? Or how would I react if
Yeah,
I
that's
was
fair.
taking class this way? Because I am the worst Pure Barre client.
That's funny.
And so, yeah, I always resonated with me. This is like the most random nugget that Andrew said one time on, I forget if it was like a GM training or like a sales call, but he said, it's okay to double text people, even after you've made your calls, or like if they didn't respond to your call and your voicemail or your initial text. That's why we want to follow up on the 3 to 5 day thing, because he was like, not everyone's ignoring you. Some people are like, oh shoot, I forgot to respond and I was going to circle back to that in a day. And now I'm glad that they
People are
text me and
busy.
remind me. And I could not relate more to that.
Mhm.
And so that I kind of go in mind with that. Obviously, it's obvious if someone doesn't want to be bothered.
Sure.
You've got to read the room. And that's just part of being good at sales. And that's sometimes harder to teach, I think. Then it's like, some people just haven't, and some people it's harder for them to grasp that. But I do think that that's a good a good discernment point is, are you annoying them, or did they just forget to circle back? And then like, where do we walk that line?
Yeah, I think to your point, you got to read the room. Hard to do sometimes via text or phone call. My whole philosophy was like, well, you can opt out,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
but because I like I'm the same way. Like people text me all the time. I don't have time to always get back to it, and so I
Hmm.
forget because there's
Yep.
so much going on. I think the same from the consumer side too. Like I said, like you can always opt out. Like I'm someone, and maybe it's just me, but if I put my name somewhere, I unsubscribe from the emails or opt out from the text.
Yes.
It's like, dude, let them know. I think it's fair to tell someone, hey, I'm just not interested right
And
now. I'll
yep.
call you. And if they keep bothering you, then that's where I draw a line. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I'll call you.
And that's another good
Yeah.
thing that you get to lean on your franchisor for is, sorry, we have approved vendors. You should reach out to them directly if you want to work with our brand as a whole, but
Yeah.
I'm not authorized to do that.
Yeah.
And then they leave you alone. It's awesome.
I tell friends all the time, dude, if you want to go off like a cold call or a sales call, just tell them, put it on me.
Yep.
Tell them, I got a VP of ops who he doesn't like things like
Yep.
that. But if you want, reach out to him. Easy way to get off the phone.
Yep. I do not have the authority to make this decision.
That's funny.
It's the best. Yeah.
Well, dude, I think you're doing great. It sounds like you're
Thanks.
doing great.
Thanks.
Multi-state owner now. That's
Having
cool.
fun. Yeah. When it gets cold in Kentucky, you just bop down here.
That's funny. That's smart.
Too hot down here, go up there.
That's the move.
Yeah.
So if people were trying to find your studios, what's your guys' handle?
Pure Barre Boca. I think, yeah. Pure Barre Boca and Pure Barre Louisville.
Cool.
Yeah. And just plain and simple.
Well, thanks
Yeah.
for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Cool.